Welcome to Therapy Explained, where we explain, demystify, and destigmatize mental health and mental health treatment. My name is Deniss. I'm a licensed therapist and group practice owner in California, and I am also your host here for Therapy Explained. Today, we're going to be talking about what is financial compatibility, how to talk about money with your partner to make sure that you're on the same page, and ideally reduce those arguments that we tend to have about finances in a relationship. As BIPOC adults, it's also important for us to take into account how financial trauma may be playing a role in this dynamic in our relationships. So I will link some of the videos that I have on financial trauma up here so that you can watch them if you're interested in learning what it is, what it looks like, and some ways to try to heal that for yourself. I will be alluding to that or talking about that a little bit in today's video, but we're not going to be going too in depth because today is more about having these conversations with your partner in a way that you are more grounded and able to listen to one another, understand one another before getting into the nitty-gritty of, okay, what are we going to do? Let's problem solve. So in order to help you get that work started, as always, we're going to be talking about those things in today's video. Before we jump into these questions though, and these things to look out for, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This is the kind of stuff that we talk about quite often. So financial trauma, the first-gen experience, being BIPOC adults in the US, and how that all affects our mental health. So if that is something you're interested in learning more about or getting more information about for free, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you like this video at any point, you find it useful, you feel like you learned something, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. So without further ado, let's talk about financial compatibility, i.e. questions to ask of your partner to reduce those fights about money. What is financial compatibility? As always, let's get on the same page about what we're actually talking about. So when we talk about financial compatibility, right, how to build that with your partner, we want to look at what your relationship is with money and what their relationship is with money. How does that align? How does that not align? And how can you work together so that you two are also on the same page? Ideally, your values about money and the way that you like to address them will align. Those priorities will be about the same, if not exactly. And the reason why this is so important is so that you two can figure out how you want to build your life together and how you want to manage that. Because when that is in misalignment and it's not addressed, that's why there is so much tension, and they can really build up to big fights. Because we're not talking about it, because we've never had a conversation about it, and because you two might be going in very different directions when it comes to managing your money. Some questions you want to ask each other before getting to the nitty-gritty of this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and addressing specific issues. Just getting a sense of where the other person is at can be helpful. So these questions are setting up bigger conversations. Number one, how do you manage your money? So just asking the other person, regardless of whether you're at in your relationship, just asking them, how do you think about money when it comes in? Do you think about it? Do you look at your bank statements? Do you think about, oh, this money just came in, I want to spend it like this? Or do you think, this money just came in, I'm thinking, where can I invest it? How can I save it? Or you're just not thinking about it at all. Is it just coming in automatically and then you go about living your life and doing and making expenses here and there? Like, what is the way that you manage your money? How do you think about it? So that you can get a good idea of where your partner is at. How do they even think about it to begin with? Number two, where or how did you learn to manage your money that way? And we're not going to ask this question in a passive-aggressive or judgmental way, but with genuine curiosity, like, oh, okay, so maybe you are thinking about investing it, or maybe you think about saving it, or maybe you just don't think about it at all. Where did that start for you? Like, perhaps it's something that a grandparent taught you, or a parent taught you, or because nobody really ever taught you, this is why you on your own wanted to learn how to manage your money and started doing it this way. So learning where that started for your partner is helpful in understanding how their journey has been. If it's something that they were taught and then maintained, well, that lets us know that it was something they were taught and haven't really questioned for a long time. So then it can lead us to maybe even more probing, insightful, and informative questions about the further journey from then to now. Number 3, how did your caregivers manage their money? Whoever it was that took care of them, whether it was a parent, grandparent, foster parent, whatever caregiver they had, how did they manage their money? Now, it might have been that they managed their money in a certain way and then taught your partner how to do that, or just never taught your partner and then they decided their own way to do that. Again, this gives us information about their journey. And it's always done in curiosity. You want to understand where they're at much better, because remember, through understanding is what gets us to connection. Once we really know one another, then that's when you can actually start to develop a relationship. So ask this question again, just out of genuine curiosity, so that you can get a better understanding of one another's journey. Number 3, do you have savings or investment goals? Ask your partner, do you like to save? Do you like to invest? And if not, is that something you would like to do? And how much of that would you like to do? Again, getting an idea of where they're at, where they have been, but now also trying to understand where they want to be. What are they open to doing? Maybe this is something that they've never really thought about, but want to. And if it aligns with you, great. And if it doesn't, then we can continue to have those more intricate conversations. But getting a sense of what they might be open to and where they see themselves going can be helpful. And lastly, how do you like to spend your money? We want to know how our partner likes to save it or would like to save it. And we also want to know how they like to spend it, what's important to them. Some people have priorities and say like, listen, this kind of expense is so important to me. It adds to my life. I need to do that. Again, that could be like therapy. Listen, I want to invest X amount of money into my therapy every month, and I include that in my budget, or I want us to include it in our budget. I want that to be a part of the expenses that we agree on. Or it could be concerts. Like, hey, I like going to concerts. I know they're pricey, but I go to X amount of concerts per year, and that adds to my mental health because it's something I do that I enjoy. Or a hobby. I have X hobby and it requires these materials or these expenses, and that's a priority for me, and that's something that I hope to remain to keep, right? So how do you like to spend your money? Going out with friends, going to Disneyland, whatever it might be, talking about what those priorities are for one another. I know I've been talking about these questions like get to know what your partner has experienced or where they're at with their money. But these questions are also for you to ask yourself. It might be helpful to sit first and answer the questions on your own and then share them with one another. But this is an interchange, right? Or an exchange. You're not going to just get information from your partner and that's it and analyze it. You want to have this as a conversation. Get to know one another's past experiences and your future goals for your money. This also leads me to how exactly are you going to manage the units, right? The two of you, your money, right? So like, do we want to do that? Do we want to pool all of our money together? Do we want to keep that separate? Or who's going to be in charge of what? Perhaps one person's in charge of the rent, or is that 50-50? Or are we going to split groceries, or is everyone or each of us responsible for our own groceries? So how are expenses going to be managed between this relationship? When we go out for dates, who's going to pay? Will it be you? Will it be me? So what is that going to look like? Will more than likely come out of some of the questions that we've asked earlier. How do you want to manage your money, and what kind of life you want to have? Now, remember that a lot of the conversations that we're talking about, right, are conversations. So it's not a one-time, let me ask all these questions and then we'll be good to go. A lot of these might require second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth conversations because you are learning about one another and about what feels good. You might make a decision on something about your relationship and how you're going to manage the money in the relationship, and then realize that it doesn't feel good, or it just actually doesn't work in practice. So you might have to come together again and figure out a different alternative or a different strategy. You might find that you'll need a neutral space or a third person to help you have some of these conversations. As I alluded to earlier, there might be some financial trauma in one or both of your pasts. And so taking that into account and processing that might be key. If either one of you is in individual therapy, this could make it a little bit easier to have those conversations. If both of you are in it, it would be perfect. But if you also decide that perhaps couples therapy to manage some of the financial issues might be the best decision for the both of you, I'm also leaving some resources for you down below if that's something that you're interested in. These questions that we talked about, some of the things that we talked about today are starters. As always, these are meant to be tools to help you in your journey. If you are already in therapy, then these are some things that you can take with you into the room. And as always, if you're not already, I encourage you to seek that out. I hope that you found that there was something that you could take from today and that these conversations are something that you feel a little bit more comfortable starting and having with your partner. If you found the video useful, if you feel that you learned something, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I also want to take just a few seconds to thank anybody and everybody who has commented such kind and supportive comments. I really appreciate the kind words that you have left in the comment section for me. It's really encouraging to know that I'm actually being helpful and supporting you in some way. As you know, the goal of this channel is to destigmatize a lot of these conversations and empower you to make more informed decisions about your mental health. And when I hear that that is at least one thing that I was able to do for you, it makes me feel good and encourages me to continue to make these videos. And also, thank you so much to those of you who have subscribed and who continue to watch. The channel is growing. It is insane. It's crazy how many of you are also watching it, and I'm so thankful to be able to be a part of that journey for you. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Take care.